If getting your kids to eat healthy was a test in parenting, I don't know if I would pass. My kids are happy to have like a slice of white bread for dinner.
Oh, no.
That's bad.
We know they need so much more than that, but what we may not know is how much junk is actually lurking in everyday food. So here to set us straight is registered dietitian, Nishta Saxena. Hello, thanks for being here.
Welcome.
Kelsey, Ben, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We have so many incredible junky foods in front of us.
It looks delicious to me.
It looks delicious.
But see, you and I both know this is bad for us, but we don't necessarily know why it's bad. So let's break this stuff down into categories.
Sounds good. So the first thing we're going to really cover is sugar. It's unfortunately everywhere, especially in foods marketed towards children. One thing we know is cereals, packaged foods, even sauces, condiments, places you don't necessarily expect it, sugar is definitely there.
Now, I know why sugar is bad for me. It turns into stuff that I carry around with me.
The
that I don't
squishy
want.
parts?
Why is it necessarily bad for the kids?
Well, you know, now we definitely have evidence that sugar-sweetened beverages can lead to and contribute to childhood obesity, and that is not a problem that's getting smaller, unfortunately. We also know there's some interesting things. When kids have a lot of sugar repeatedly over time, it can really corrupt their palate, and then they may not actually be able to sense and taste real, whole, natural foods.
So
So what do we do? Like, this stuff is everywhere, and it's in fancy boxes, and it's the exciting cereal. What can we swap it with?
You know what, I ask parents, I really say, read labels, try and look for items that have less than 3% of their daily value from sugar. It's harder to find, but they're out there, and producers are noticing that parents want those foods. The other thing I say is go swap for plain, plain dairy products, plain milk products. When you are having your sugar, really, really enjoy it. Homemade baked goods, have some good old-fashioned Canadian maple syrup on your pancakes. Make sugar a special moment and take it out of, all of the sauces in different areas where you don't even know it's there.
I've always wondered if you had a strawberry yogurt versus buying a plain yogurt and adding your own strawberries, would that be a better swap?
Amazing swap. That's actually an excellent idea, and kids will really respond to that. A lot of parents tell me, oh no, my child is used to strawberry-flavored yogurt. Give it a try. Start mixing half and half, and then pull back right to plain. Adding fresh fruit is the best way to go.
So people seem to have like a sweet palate or a salty palate, and salt is our next culprit.
Oh boy, and salt, just like sugar, is everywhere.
You can't win, right? It can't be salty, it can't be sweet.
I know, it kind of seems that way. I mean, salt is one of those foods in Canada. We actually have a higher amount of salt in our packaged food than anywhere in the world.
Really?
Yes.
Why would that be?
There's a lot of theories about it. It could be because we are a country of such large landmass. Salt isn't just used for flavor in food. It's also used as a desiccant, as a preservative. So manufacturers use it in many ways.
Well, the thing that surprises me most about this is we had cereal over there and we've got cereal here. So
Yes.
where are we finding the salt?
The salt is often used, as I mentioned, to balance out flavor, but it could also be in a lot of the commercial bread and grain-based products to keep them dry. Things like crackers and bread. And in fact, bread is one of the biggest offenders for having a very high salt content.
So your kids are packed full of sodium, is what you're telling us. What can we swap it out with?
Well, we can definitely look again at our nutrition facts label and look for products for kids with less than 3% salt. If that's troubling or difficult to find, you can also look for lower than 5%. 3% would be ideal. You can also look for the words low sodium, like there's lower sodium options for things like crackers or canned fish. But the real message is really trying to offer your child as much whole, unprocessed food as possible.
Yeah, raw food, I would imagine. Yeah, like raw veggies and whatnot.
Yeah, and just foods that are actually not from packages. As much
So
as
less than 3% sugar, less than 3% salt. What about our next category?
the brightly colored category.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing about artificial food colors, there was a study that was just done, a small study out of North Carolina, that showed that foods marketed to children are actually have about 62% of food on shelves have artificial food colorants in it. That's an increase from about 12% in the 60s. So
62%?
62%.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a small study, but it's really showing us that this is absolutely in our kids' food. And the one thing we know about artificial food colorants is we absolutely do not need them. They are not required for childhood growth or development in any way. So as parents, we don't always have control over what our kids eat. So when we have control over it, try and avoid foods with these artificial food colorants. You can read the label and look for those on the ingredient list.
And I've read in recent news that there are a number of name brands of packaged foods out there that are trying to push towards having more natural colors and less artificial.
Yes, it's a great point because there's more demand for that. So they're using things like vegetable extracts, fruit extracts to create colors, maybe not as bright as this, this, but definitely there's a movement towards removing those. And the interesting thing about food color, it's sometimes even in foods that aren't brightly colored to make them look more natural.
So why do manufacturers do this? Just simply to sell more product?
It could be to make them look appetizing, maybe more appealing to kids. You know, kids love colors, but it is something that we know that can affect hyperactivity in children who are sensitive to those colors. So we don't need it, we want it out.
All right, well, let's go to our final grouping over here.
Yeah, so this seems like a smorgasbord of all things terrible for us. But there can be some hidden, or not hidden, but like lurking ingredients that we don't necessarily think of when we look at some of these items.
Yes, so this pile is a little harder to tell what we're talking about, but it's really industrialized or processed trans fats. These are things that are toxic to human health. They really come about from when manufacturers use plant oils, they bubble them with hydrogen, gives them a nice solid feel at room temperature, and then they can create a lot of products that stay shelf stable.
And this is a scary one for us because I think we've all gone to the grocery store and we've seen something like this and we assume it was freshly baked.
Absolutely. And I mean, it could be wonderful if it didn't have those trans fats in it. The words hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, or vegetable oil shortening, we don't want to see those in any of our food products that we give to kids.
Okay. So we're pretty much all going to our pantries and cleaning everything out at this point. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.